I have some questions which is unrelated to that. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I basically wanted to ask you. I recently read an article in the Guardian where they were talking about people who have had SSRIs for a long time and having really bad sexual side effects after that.
From exercise?
No, no, no. SSRIs, selective serotonin uptake inhibitors, SSRIs.
Sorry, SSRIs. Got it. Got it. Okay.
So there
Yes.
was an article. There was an article in the Guardian. Sometime a few months ago. I think it was in March. So the article was quite an extensive piece talking to various people who have suffered because of SSRI medicines, and now they have completely have difficulty in sexual functioning. And the European Medicines Agency is calling it this particular state post-SSRI sexual dysfunction. So,
Yes.
I want to know from you, how advisable is this drugs for, premature ejaculation?
Okay. Well, I'm happy to answer your question because I have my own, if you will, private crusade, um, asking people to be very wary of taking SSRIs because they do, in some people, not across the board, and sometimes SSRIs, people claim that they've made all the difference in their lives, but sometimes SSRIs are linked to sexual dysfunction. And sometimes, even after discontinuing the SSRIs, these sexual problems persist. Okay, so that's to answer your question. Also, at least in the United States, there is some question about whether or not the studies underpinning the efficacy of SSRIs were actually conducted well. There's some concern that the very, very important studies have actually had statistical manipulation to where one of the measures was found that there was no proven efficacy, and then they changed the measure, that's not kosher.
That's really sad and very distressing to hear this. Because in Kerala, a lot of people are not even aware that these medicines have side effects. The doctors who prescribe them, they don't really give them an informed opinion about these medicines.
Yeah, and I'm well aware of that. And that is still the case in the US as well, where SSRIs, someone comes to a primary care physician and complains about, well, amongst other things, depression. And the automatic thing is to provide them with an SSRI, an antidepressant, and without thinking about alternatives that are also very efficacious. For example, exercise.
Legal exercise.
Yes, vigorous exercise, or sometimes mindfulness meditation. So there are, and also psychotherapy. So that it doesn't, when one walks into a doctor's office, often there's the thought that if I don't walk away with a prescription, then I didn't get my money's worth. When in fact, that may be no favor at all to the patient who is suffering from depression.
I mean, this medicine which you prescribe for premature ejaculation is actually the medicine for depression, right? The effect on delayed ejaculation is actually a side effect, right?
That's correct. It's not, it becomes if you will, the therapeutic effect if you're trying to have diminished premature ejaculation, but actually it is for some people a side effect when it is unwanted and when it actually can be linked to the inability to achieve orgasm.
So even people who have depression and who take SSRIs, those people who doesn't have premature ejaculation, they might also have some problem. Eventually, might develop some problem, right?
That's correct. And the problems linked to SSRIs, the side effect profile, can include well, loss of libido. That is one of the primary concerns,
Yeah.
as well as erectile dysfunction.
Yeah.
And the two can be linked. So that when someone has diminished libido, they are going to more likely than not have diminished erectile function.
Correct. And this can happen for both men and women, the loss of libido.
Yeah, that is correct. And that is, I remember a patient of mine once talking about the fact that he had taken an SSRI over a period of time, and then he said to himself, "Where's my libido?" He said to me that it felt like someone had picked his pocket. He was unaware. He was unaware of the loss of libido, and then later on said, "Wow, I don't have any sexual drive anymore." So that's that's a very unfortunate side effect.
How young was this guy whom you're referring to?
I think he was in his late 30s, early 40s. I think late 30s.
But doctor, also there will be situations where a patient will or a client would really warrant a drug. Okay, in such a situation, how do you take a call when you really need to? What is your position, or will you not?
My position is that it is ethical to provide that patient with alternatives and also with cautions. There is a chance, maybe small, maybe moderate, maybe large, that these are the consequences of taking SSRIs. One thing, the drug companies are not, in the United States at least, they're not obligated to look at the long-term effects of taking these medications.
Oh, the FDA doesn't look into that.
They're not obligated to do that. And so that if you want to look at, well, if I take this for 5 years and I find I have these problems, well, sometimes people who are experiencing problems will become depressed, and that may be the signal to the physician to say, well, then we ought to give you more, not stop the medication, but we ought to increase your dosage. So you can see that it enriches the pharmaceutical industry, but it doesn't necessarily benefit the patient.
So, doctor, since the drug which you take for premature ejaculation is actually meant for depression, is there a possibility that people having premature ejaculation might also develop depression?
Well, no, it isn't that it would cause depression, but that the sudden withdrawal of the medication, the discontinuation of it, can cause a mood disorder. It can create a depression. So in some studies, when they have given a population that is not diagnosed as depressed, and they give them these medications, and then they suddenly withdraw them, these people who have no history of depression will become clinically depressed. So that's concerning.
It's absolutely worrying, extremely worrying.
Yes. And that's why, if anybody is watching this, they should beware that the answer is not to suddenly withdraw, but under the guidance of a professional, you need to wean yourself off this medication. It would be a slow downward model for taking yourself off the medication. Don't do it cold turkey. You may be disserved by that.
Okay, whether you are taking it for depression or premature ejaculation, both.
Correct. You want to recognize that this is a medication that is tinkering with your brain, and you have to have a lot of respect for that.
So, doctor, in what age group, or do you? I mean, you said that there is an ethicality aspect where you need to prescribe this medication at some context for patients, but also tell them what are the consequences and the side effects. So, how do you take such a call? What are the kind of situations where you need to administer the drug?
Well, when you're treating major depressive disorder, and you see that someone is a suicide risk or is unable to function, to do their job or to maintain relationships, then it's probably warranted to offer them and encourage them these alternatives, which are just as efficacious. Okay. But if either they don't want to or they aren't working, then you would need to think about an antidepressant medication. Okay. So that and sometimes people who are severely depressed, they want a quick fix, and one can be very, very sympathetic to that. And they may be not inclined at all to vigorously exercise. Oh. I just read a study where they're even encouraging people. I know this may sound silly to your viewers, but taking a cold shower on a regular basis can alter mood in a positive direction.
Oh, okay. Is there any time which you recommend?
Whenever they bathe. And hopefully that would be on, let's say, a daily basis. Oh. But I would say that, it's worth an experiment, an individual experiment. And if that lasts for whatever 6 hours, then take a second shower.
Nice.
That day. There's no law against taking showers, and except perhaps for chapped skin, there are no ill effects, and particularly how truly hot it is in India right now. It's a great idea to take frequent showers.
Yeah. So coming back to this SSRI drugs, so apart from severe cases of depression, for premature ejaculation, there is actually no need for SSRIs in a way. You can do with alternative therapies.
That is correct. That is correct.
So irrespective of the age in which they are having this problem.
Also correct. Surely we are more likely to see premature ejaculation to be present in younger people.
Yeah.
But it occurs across the age spectrum.
Yeah. Because I remember one person calling me. He was in his mid-40s, saying that he has premature ejaculation.
Yes, and that's not at all. It's not that unusual, but it's more likely that you see it in very young populations, in let's say the teens, early 20s.
Another interesting aspect which I remember reading in that Guardian article is that people who take SSRIs, they can have potentially long-term side effects, in the sense even after discontinuing the medication. So have you seen such cases in your practice as well?
Oh, yes, I have. Yes, I have. These people, that's what's so irritating. They're thinking, well, okay, it's bad that I have these side effects, these sexual side effects, but once I stop the medication, then I'll be fine. Mm. And for some portion of that population that is experiencing those side effects, no, they don't go away.
And what is the age group of these people, if you can tell me, a rough approximate?
I don't have a number for you. I don't have the ages. I think in my experience, it's been across the spectrum.
Across the spectrum. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, but as a clinician, you don't prefer giving, or rather recommend giving SSRIs to young people, right? You as a...
Oh, well, certainly very young people, because remember, we're tinkering with brains, and we estimate that up until age 25, the brain is developing. So we really want to be introducing these chemicals to a developing brain. And my argument would be, no, you're not. Unless, of course, you have a significant severity, as I said, if they're suicidal or homicidal, or if they are, well, I explained to you before, they're unable to function in terms of going to school, going to having relationships, if they're becoming somewhat like hermits. No, we certainly want to discourage that. That's dangerous.